Cheers, everyone, to the good life.
In a room full of champagne, ego, and rich men who never hear no, one careless bet was made, and a billionaire's life started falling apart from that exact moment. So sit back, grab a popcorn, and watch how this simple bet turned into the biggest lesson of Felix Adebayo's life. But before we begin, please like this video, subscribe to the channel, and drop a comment right now. Tell me, if someone married you because of a bet, would you forgive them or take revenge on them? Let's get into it. The party was loud, rich, and reckless. It was one of those Lagos nights where the air smelled like expensive perfume and cold money. The kind of night where men in shining wristwatches laughed too hard, not because something was funny, but because they wanted to be seen laughing. The event was somewhere in Victoria Island, a rooftop lounge, glass everywhere, lights everywhere, music so sweet it almost lied. Felix Adebayo stood at the center of it all, like the room was built around him. He was in his early 30s, tall, clean, and sharp in a way that made people stand straighter when he passed. His suit looked like it had never touched sweat. His smile came easy, his confidence came easier. Felix liked winning. He won in business, he won in arguments, he won in rooms like this where people competed to be close to him. He held a glass of champagne and listened to the men around him talk about deals, women, cars, and power. Like those were the only four things life had. Then Femi spoke. Femi was Felix's close friend, not the kind of friend that saved you, the kind that tested you just to see what would happen. Femi leaned back in his chair, eyes full of mischief, and said loudly enough for the group to hear, "Felix, you know you only date the type everybody already accepts." Felix's brows lifted slightly. "What does that even mean?" Felix asked, calm, but already irritated. He hated being talked to like a small boy. Femi smiled. "I mean you like the pretty ones. Slim waist, soft voice. Social media is perfect. Everybody claps for your choice before you even choose." Some men chuckled. Felix didn't. Femi raised his glass. "So let's see if you have real guts." Felix turned fully to him now. "Go on." Femi's smile widened. "I bet you can't marry a woman who doesn't fit your usual type." Felix laughed once, short and proud. "Is that all?" Femi nodded like it was nothing. "Marry her. Stay married for 6 months." A few heads turned. Somebody said, "Ha! Felix will do it." Someone else added, "He can marry anybody and still win." Felix's pride rose like heat inside his chest. He could feel the eyes on him. He could feel that sweet pressure that always pushed him to prove himself. He sipped his drink slowly. "And what's the prize?" Femi leaned forward. 50 million naira. The room reacted immediately. Whistles, laughter, raised eyebrows. Femi continued, "Winner takes it. But you must marry her for real, not pretend. 6 months, no breakup." Felix smiled like he had already won. "Bring her name," he said. Femi's eyes shone. "Amanda Okafor." Felix paused. The name didn't ring a bell, but that was fine. He didn't need to know her. To him, this was not marriage. It was just another deal. And Felix Adebayo had never lost a deal in his life. Amanda's day didn't look like champagne. Her own morning started with traffic, sweat, and a phone that would not stop ringing. She lived in a modest area not too far from Yaba, a place where generators hummed like angry bees and water sometimes refused to run when you needed it most. Amanda was plus size, not small thick, not curvy in the right places. Amanda was fat, big, heavy, soft in her body, wide in her hips, full in her arms. Her cheeks were round, her chest was full, and when she walked, she carried weight and dignity. She wore simple clothes that fit her properly because she refused to squeeze herself into shame. People had mocked her since she was younger. Some called her names, some gave fake advice, some looked at her like she should apologize for taking space. But Amanda had learned something early. If you spend your life begging people to accept you, you'll die tired. So she stopped begging. She worked hard. She held her head up. She spoke clearly. And she didn't laugh at jokes that were meant to reduce her. That afternoon, she was at work when a message came in from an unknown number. It was short. I have a proposal for you. Please meet. Amanda stared at the phone for a moment. Her fingers became still. Then another text followed. It is about a marriage arrangement. Amanda's heart didn't jump with excitement. It went cold, because she already knew the smell of that kind of message. Rich men and their games. She was about to ignore it when her phone rang. A private number. She answered without greeting. A man's voice came on, smooth and careful. Miss Okafor? Yes. My name is Femi. I represent someone who would like to meet you. Amanda's voice stayed flat. Why? Femi chuckled softly. You're direct. I don't have time, she replied. Femi paused. Felix Adebayo wants to meet you. Amanda's body stiffened. For a second, her mind flashed something old. A memory she tried not to touch. A younger version of herself. A different life. A different world. Then she pushed it down. She breathed in slowly. And why does Felix Adebayo want to meet me? Femi's voice grew lighter, like he enjoyed this. It's a business arrangement. Amanda didn't respond. Femi cleared his throat. There is a bet involved. Amanda almost laughed, but not because it was funny, because it was predictable. A bet, she repeated. Yes. And I'm the joke, she said. Femi gave a soft ah, like he was impressed. You're smart. Amanda looked out the window at the busy street below. People were hustling, selling, walking, living. She remembered her father's face years ago when everything still made sense. She remembered pain. And she remembered one man who had smiled at her once like she mattered, then crushed her family like they were nothing. Amanda's voice became calm. Tell Felix I will meet him. Femi sounded surprised. You will? Yes. Okay, we'll send details. Tomorrow evening, Victoria Island. Amanda ended the call and stared at her phone. She didn't smile. She didn't panic. She simply whispered to no one in particular, 6 months. Then she added, let's see if he still laughs at the end. The restaurant in Victoria Island was the kind of place where even the chairs looked expensive. Soft jazz played in the background. Waiters moved like they had been trained in silence. The lighting made everyone look richer than they really were. Felix arrived 10 minutes early. He wore a clean dark suit and a watch that could buy someone's yearly rent. He sat like he owned the space. He scanned the room like a man looking at options. To Felix, women were usually options. He had dated models, influencers, light-skinned beauties with long nails and soft laughter, the kind of women his friends approved of immediately. Amanda was not that kind. When she walked in, the room shifted a little. Not because she was trying to be noticed, but because her presence was different. She was plus size, big, heavy, but not sloppy, not careless. She moved with control. She wore a simple, well-fitted dress. Her hair was neat. Her face was beautiful in a quiet way. Soft eyes, full lips, calm expression. Felix watched her approach. His first thought was simple. Femi did not lie. His second thought surprised him. She looks unbothered. Amanda stopped at the table and didn't smile too much. You must be Felix Adebayo, she said. Felix stood, offered his hand like he was doing her a favor. And you must be Amanda Okafor. She looked at his hand for a short moment, then shook it. Firm grip. No shaking like fear. She sat down without waiting for permission. Felix sat too, still calm, still in control. So, he began. Thank you for coming. Amanda's eyes held his. Let's not waste time, Felix. I know about the bet. Felix paused. That was not what he expected. His face didn't change much, but his eyes tightened slightly. And you still came, he said. Yes. Why? Amanda picked up the menu, flipped it once, then dropped it. Because I have my reasons, she replied. Felix leaned back. You want money. Amanda smiled small, not sweet, not flirty, just knowing. If I wanted money, I wouldn't sit here calmly, she said. I would be begging you already. Felix's jaw tightened. Amanda continued. 6 months. That's the deal, yes? But don't think you can control me inside those 6 months. Felix chuckled. Control you? Amanda, I barely know you. And that's why you're dangerous, she replied. Men like you hurt people without even knowing their names. Felix stared at her. For the first time, his confidence shifted a little. Not fear. Just discomfort. Amanda's voice stayed steady. If we do this, we do it with clear rules. No humiliation, no games in public, no touching my life as you own it. Felix forced a smile. You're very bold. I'm tired, Amanda said softly. Tired of pretending I'm small so other people feel big. Silence fell between them. Felix had faced hostile business deals, angry competitors, boardroom fights, but he had never faced a woman like this, fat, calm, and fearless. He should have felt bored. Instead, he felt challenged, and Felix liked challenges. Too much. Amanda picked the next meeting place. A small cafe in Yaba. Nothing fancy. Simple chairs, simple wooden table, teacups that clinked when you touched them. People around were just normal people. Students with laptops, couples talking, workers grabbing snacks. Felix arrived and looked around like someone had dropped him in the wrong world. Amanda was already there sipping tea. No overperformance. She looked comfortable. Felix sat down, adjusting his sleeves like he was still trying to control something. Amanda teased lightly. I thought you only breathe inside 5-star restaurants. Felix gave a small smile. Sometimes it's good to break routine. Amanda nodded slowly. Good. They spoke small at first. Work, weather, Lagos traffic, nothing deep. Then Amanda put her cup down gently. If we're going to do this, she said, I want to be clear. Felix leaned back. Go on. Amanda's voice was firm. I'm not interested in your money. I'm not here to enjoy your luxury. 6 months is 6 months. After 6 months, I walk away. Felix watched her carefully. He could tell she meant it. And what do you want? He asked. Amanda didn't hesitate. Freedom. Felix raised a brow. Freedom? Yes, I will keep my job. I will keep my friends. I will not become your property because of paper. Felix smiled like it was cute. Fine, it doesn't bother me. Amanda looked at him, eyes calm but sharp. And one more thing. Felix nodded. If you ever try to embarrass me because of my body, she said. If you ever try to make me feel like I'm lucky you even looked at me, I will show you a side of me you won't enjoy. Felix laughed softly. Is that a threat? It's a warning, Amanda replied. Felix leaned forward slightly. Okay, 6 months, no more. Amanda studied him like she was checking if he was lying. Then she nodded once. Good. Felix left that cafe thinking it was still a simple bet. Amanda left that cafe knowing she had already stepped into a war. The wedding was not romantic. It was fast, cold, like they were signing for land. The registry office was filled with random couples. Some looked happy, some looked tired, some looked like they were just doing it to please family. Felix came with 2 friends. Amanda came alone. Felix smiled for the cameras. Amanda didn't. When the officer said, Do you accept? Felix answered quickly. Amanda answered calmly. Yes. No excitement, no shaking voice, no tears. Felix thought, she's acting strong now. It won't last. After the signatures, Felix leaned close and whispered, Congratulations, wife. Amanda looked at him with a straight face. Don't overdo it. Felix chuckled. Outside, Felix's friends joked. Guy, you really do am. 6 months go quick, Shah. Felix laughed with them like this was football. Amanda stood aside, watching. One of Felix's friends glanced at Amanda's body, then looked away quickly, like he didn't want to be caught looking. Amanda noticed. She always noticed. She had lived too long inside people's eyes. Felix turned to her. Let's go. He led her to his car, a luxury SUV, tinted windows, leather seats. As they drove, Lagos passed them. The noise, the movement, the traffic, the street sellers, the Danfo buses, the life. Felix said, You're like my house? Amanda stared out the window. I'm not here to like anything. Felix laughed. We'll see. Amanda didn't answer. Her mind was elsewhere. On her father. On her mother's tears. On the past. And on one name she hadn't spoken in years. Felix's mansion in Banana Island looked like a place built to intimidate. Tall gates, private guards, clean compound, glass walls that reflected the lagoon lights. Inside, everything was expensive. Big sofas, art pieces, clean smell, quiet air. Amanda stepped in and looked around. Felix watched her face, expecting shock, expecting excitement, expecting gratitude. But Amanda just nodded once like she had entered a hotel lobby. Felix frowned. You're not impressed? Amanda turned to him. Should I be? Felix smiled, but it was tight. Most people are. Amanda walked to the big window and stared at the lagoon. 6 months, she said calmly. Not a day more. Felix crossed his arms. You keep repeating it. Amanda looked back at him. So you don't forget. Felix laughed softly. I never forget anything I want. Amanda's eyes didn't blink. That's the problem. Felix's smile dropped for 1 second. Then he recovered. Your room is upstairs. Amanda nodded. Good. Felix led her up. The guest room was big, clean, and luxurious. Amanda placed her small bag on the bed. Felix leaned on the doorframe. If you need anything. I won't, Amanda cut in calmly. Felix's eyes narrowed slightly. You're very sure of yourself. Amanda sat on the bed, took off her shoes slowly. I have survived worse than this. Felix didn't know what she meant. But the way she said it made him feel like the mansion wasn't his biggest weapon. And that irritated him. Felix started with gifts. The first week, boxes arrived daily. Designer bags, expensive dresses, gold jewelry, perfumes that smelled like money. Felix watched Amanda open one box. She looked inside, lifted the dress, held it up once. Then she dropped it back inside. Felix waited for thank you. Amanda closed the box. Felix stared. That's it. Amanda looked at him. What do you want me to do? Be happy, Felix replied. Appreciate it. Amanda's voice stayed soft. Felix, I don't need these things. Felix's jaw tightened. Every woman needs nice things. Amanda shook her head slowly. No, every woman needs respect. Some women just mistake gifts for respect. Felix felt heat rise inside him. He wasn't used to being refused, and not even in a rude way. Amanda refused him like he was just noise. Felix tried again. He booked a weekend getaway, a luxury beach resort, private dinner, soft music. Amanda went, but she didn't melt. She sat at dinner and ate calmly like it was any other place. Felix leaned forward. Do you ever relax? Amanda wiped her mouth gently. Do you ever stop trying to buy people's feelings? Felix forced a smile. But inside, something in him was starting to crack. Because he could not understand one thing. Why wasn't she grateful? To Felix, money always worked. Money always softened people. Money always ended arguments. But Amanda was like a wall. A fat, calm wall that refused to break. And Felix began to take it personal. Felix's next move was control. Subtle at first. He told his driver not to be available at the time Amanda needed him. Amanda waited. Then she used Bolt. Felix then told the gate security to delay her exit. Amanda stood at the gate, stared at the security man and said calmly, Open the gate. The man hesitated. Madam, Olga said. Amanda's eyes stayed on him. Open the gate. The man opened it. When Amanda returned that evening, Felix was waiting. You went out? He asked. Amanda nodded. Yes. Felix smiled. You don't need to work anymore, Amanda. You're my wife. Amanda laughed once. That's the funniest thing you've said since we met. Felix frowned. What? You think marriage turns me into your property, Amanda replied. It doesn't. Felix leaned closer. I'm trying to help you. Amanda's voice dropped slightly. No. You're trying to control me. Felix's smile disappeared fully. Watch your tone. Amanda stood up. She was big, yes, but her presence grew even bigger. Felix, she said, clear and slow, I am fat, not foolish. Felix blinked. Amanda continued, You thought because I'm plus size, I'll be desperate. You thought because you're rich, I'll bend. But I told you, I'm not the type you break. Felix stared at her, then he turned away like he didn't care. But he cared. Deeply. Because for the first time in his life, someone was refusing his power to his face. And Felix didn't know how to handle that without becoming uglier. One night the tension finally boiled. Felix had tried control all day. Amanda had resisted all day. At dinner, Felix was quiet. Amanda ate calmly. Felix dropped his fork. I don't understand you. Amanda didn't look up. Okay. Felix's voice rose. Any other woman would be happy here, luxury, comfort, and you act like it's nothing. Amanda lifted her eyes slowly. What do you really want? Felix asked. Amanda took a breath. Then she spoke. I want respect, she said. Felix scoffed. Respect. You have respect. Amanda shook her head. No. You give gifts, you give orders, you give control, you don't give respect. Felix leaned forward. You're being dramatic. Amanda's eyes sharpened. Felix, you treat people like they are pieces on your board. You think money makes you right, but money doesn't buy dignity. Felix laughed bitterly. So what are you saying? Amanda's voice became calm again, but more painful. I'm saying you are empty, she said, and you hate that I can see it. Felix froze. Nobody talked to him like that. Not staff, not friends, not women. Amanda continued. You might have everything around you, but inside you, you are not at peace. That's why you need control. That's why you can't stand me. Felix's chest rose and fell, anger mixed with something else. Fear. Not fear of Amanda hurting him physically. Fear of Amanda being right. Felix stood up sharply. You think you know me? Amanda held his eyes. I know enough. Felix walked away, fists tight. That night, he didn't sleep well. Because her words stayed in his head like a song he didn't want to hear. Felix started blocking her life in quiet ways. He didn't scream. He didn't slap. He didn't lock her in the house like a movie villain. He did something more Lagos rich man style. He used connections. Amanda would tell him, I have a meeting tomorrow. Felix would nod. Then the meeting would suddenly shift. Amanda's contacts would stop replying. A job opportunity she had been working toward for months would suddenly get cancelled. At first, Amanda thought it was bad luck. Then she noticed a pattern. One day she came home and found Felix on a call. He ended it quickly. Amanda looked at him. Who are you talking to? Felix shrugged. Work. Amanda nodded slowly. Okay. Felix smirked like he won. Amanda walked past him and said quietly, You will get tired. Felix laughed. Of what? Amanda paused at the stairs. Of being you. Felix's smile faded. He wanted her to cry. He wanted her to beg. He wanted her to say, Please, Felix, help me. But Amanda didn't. Instead, she grew more focused, more calm, more dangerous. One night, Amanda walked into the living room and found Felix sitting like a king. He looked up and smiled like he was enjoying himself. Amanda stood in front of him, hands at her side. Felix said, What is it? Amanda's voice was low. Felix, you think you are the one controlling this marriage? Felix laughed. I am. Amanda shook her head slightly. No. Felix's laughter reduced. What do you mean? Amanda's eyes stayed steady. I have my own plan. Felix scoffed. You? Plan? Amanda nodded once. Yes, and when the time is right, you will understand that this whole thing is bigger than your ego and your bet. Felix stared at her. For a second he saw something in her face. Not just anger, not just pride, pain. Old pain. The type that doesn't heal with time. Felix tried to hide his unease. You're just talking. Amanda smiled faintly. We will see. She turned and walked away. Felix sat there staring at the space she left behind. For the first time since the bet, he felt something he didn't like. A small fear. Not of losing money, but of not knowing what was coming. Femi met Felix for dinner a few days later. They sat in a private space, expensive plates, soft music, calm lighting. Femi laughed. "Guy, you don't turn married man, oh." Felix forced a smile. "It's nothing." Femi leaned forward. "It's not nothing." Felix frowned. "What do you mean?" Femi's eyes narrowed. "You're different. Normally you'd have finished this kind of thing already. You'd have broken her pride, settled her, and moved on." Felix didn't answer quickly. Femi smiled like he enjoyed the silence. "But this one, she's entering your head." Felix scoffed. "Don't be silly." Femi chuckled. "Okay, but just remember, it was a bet. Don't let feelings make you lose your money." Felix's eyes hardened. "I don't lose." Femi raised his hands. "All right, boss." But as Felix drove home that night, he realized something. He didn't like how Femi spoke about Amanda, like she was meat on a plate. And Felix didn't like that because he was the one who started that thinking. So why did it suddenly feel wrong now? When Felix entered the house, he found Amanda on the couch reading. Quiet, calm, like the mansion wasn't even hers or his. Felix stood there for a moment, watching her. Then he said, "Can we talk?" Amanda closed her book slowly and looked up. "Yes," she said, "we can." And Felix didn't know it yet, but that talk was the beginning of the end of his old life. Felix sat opposite Amanda, hands clasped. He tried to sound calm, but his voice carried something new. "Honesty." "What are we doing?" he asked. Amanda blinked. "We're married." Felix shook his head. "No, I mean, why does it feel like this is not just a bet anymore?" Amanda watched him for a moment. "Because you're not as in control as you thought." Felix's face tightened. "I hate that." Amanda nodded. "I know." Felix stood up suddenly and paced. "I'm used to being the one who decides how things go," he said. Amanda spoke softly. "And that's why you're suffering now." Felix stopped and looked at her. "Why are you here, Amanda? What do you really want?" Amanda's eyes held his. "I'm here for something bigger than you," she said. Felix frowned. "Bigger than me?" Amanda stood up slowly. Her body was big, yes, but her voice was calm and controlled. "You have lived your whole life thinking people are toys," Amanda said. "But some people are real. Some people carry wounds you caused." Felix's stomach tightened. Amanda stepped closer. "This isn't about control, Felix. Control is your comfort. But life doesn't always bend." Felix's voice dropped. "So what do you want?" Amanda's lips curved into a small, mysterious smile. "I want you to figure that out yourself," she said. Then she turned and walked away, leaving Felix standing there with a question he couldn't answer. Felix couldn't rest after that night. Amanda's calmness felt like a trap. So he did what he always did when he didn't understand something. He investigated. He hired private people to look into her background. He told himself it was for safety, but deep down it was an obsession. He wanted to know what she was hiding. Days later, one of the reports landed in his email. Name, Amanda Okafor. Father, late Mr. Okafor. Business, Okafor Logistics. Collapsed years ago. Cause of collapse, corporate takeover and contract loss. Felix stared at the screen. Okafor Logistics. Something in his head moved, like a locked door shaking. He called his assistant. "Bring my old files, the ones from 5, 6 years ago." His assistant sounded confused. "Sir?" "Now," Felix said. That night, Felix sat alone in his office flipping through old documents. Deals, takeovers, contracts, names. Then he saw it. Okafor Logistics. His signature was on the file. His heart thudded. He stared at it like it was a snake. He didn't remember the people. He remembered the numbers. But suddenly numbers had a face on Amanda, and in his mind a flash of memory came. A younger Amanda at a business event. Helping her father. walking past Felix. Felix smiled at her. Amanda smiled back. Then darkness. Felix's throat tightened. He whispered, "No." But the truth was already crawling toward him. That night, Felix returned home late. The mansion was quiet. The balcony light was on. Amanda sat there, wrapped in a light shawl, staring at the Lagos night as she owned it. Felix walked out slowly. He didn't announce himself. Amanda didn't turn. Felix stood behind her, breathing slowly. Then he said, "I need answers." Amanda sighed softly, still facing the city. "I know," she replied. Felix's voice grew firm. "I can't do this again. The silence, the secrets, tell me the truth." Amanda stood up slowly and turned to him. Her face was calm, but her eyes carried something deeper. Pain, and anger, and strength. "The truth?" Amanda asked. "Do you really want it?" Felix nodded. Amanda stared at him for a few seconds. Then she said, "Okay." And Felix felt his body go stiff, like his soul already knew what was coming. Amanda's voice was quiet, but sharp enough to cut. "Do you remember the name Okafor?" she asked. Felix swallowed. "Yes." Amanda's lips curved into a bitter smile. "Now you remember." Amanda continued. "My father owned a small company. He worked hard. He wasn't a thief. He wasn't corrupt, just a man trying to feed his family." Felix stared at her, eyes wide. Amanda's voice rose slightly. "Then you came. Felix Adebayo, golden boy, big company, big mouth, big power." Felix shook his head slowly. "Amanda, No," Amanda cut in. "You took everything from him. You crushed him like he was nothing." Felix's chest tightened. Amanda's eyes became wet, but her voice stayed steady. "My father couldn't handle the shame," she said. "The debt, the pressure, the way people stopped respecting him." Felix's mouth opened. Nothing came. Amanda's voice broke slightly. "My father took his life." Felix's body went cold. He whispered, "No." Amanda nodded slowly, tears now on her cheeks. "Yes." Felix took a step back like he had been hit. Amanda wiped her tears, but her face stayed strong. "You lived your life in luxury," she said, "while my mother and I were counting coins for food." Felix's eyes dropped. He couldn't defend it, because he didn't even remember it until now. And that was the worst part. Felix's voice came out small. "I didn't know. I didn't know it was your father." Amanda laughed, but there was no joy inside it. "You didn't know," she repeated, "because you never cared to know." Felix's face tightened. "Amanda, I swear, I didn't mean..." Amanda's eyes narrowed. "Do you know what makes me angry? It's not even that you did it." Felix blinked. "It's that you did it and forgot," Amanda said. Felix's throat tightened. Amanda stepped closer. "Do you remember the event at Echo Hotel, years ago?" Felix froze. A flash came back again. A ballroom, a business dinner, a younger Amanda walking past. Felix swallowed hard. Amanda nodded slowly. "You remember Small?" Felix's voice was shaky. "Yes, I was there." Amanda's eyes held his. "That night, you spoke to me." Felix stared. Amanda continued. "You said I was different. You said I was smart. You said you liked how I didn't fake." Felix's heart pounded. He remembered. Not fully. "But enough." Amanda's voice became softer, more painful. "That night, Felix, you made me feel seen." Felix whispered. "Amanda," she breathed out, "and then you destroyed my life." Felix looked like he wanted to disappear. Amanda's voice dropped. "But that's not even the full truth." Felix's eyes lifted. "What do you mean?" Amanda stared at him, and Felix saw it. This next thing was the real knife. Amanda's lips trembled slightly, but her voice remained controlled. "I was pregnant, Felix." Felix blinked like he didn't understand. Amanda repeated, "I was pregnant when everything collapsed." Felix swallowed. "Pregnant? For who?" Amanda's eyes didn't move. For you, she said. Felix's body reacted immediately like the words slapped him. He staggered back one step. No, he whispered. No, that can't be. Amanda nodded slowly. It was. Felix's breathing became heavy. Amanda, I don't remember. That's the point, Amanda cut in, tears spilling again. To you it was a night. To me it was hope. Felix shook his head, hands raised like he was begging reality to stop. Amanda continued, voice shaking now. When your deals crushed my father, the stress destroyed everything. I lost the baby. Felix's face twisted in pain. His voice broke. Oh, God. Amanda wiped her cheeks roughly. I buried that pain. I carried it like a stone inside my body. I watched my mother suffer. I watched my father die. I watched myself become nothing. Felix's knees looked weak. And then, Amanda said, I heard about the bet. Felix looked up slowly, fear in his eyes. Amanda's voice became colder. And I knew God gave me a chance. Felix's voice was almost a whisper. So that's why you agreed. Amanda nodded. Yes, she said. I approached you on purpose. I accepted on purpose I wanted you trapped. Felix's lips trembled. You wanted revenge. Amanda stared at him. I wanted you to feel powerless, even if it was small, even if it was only for 6 months. Felix's eyes were wet now. Amanda, I'm sorry. Amanda laughed softly. Sorry? Felix stepped closer, hands shaking. I didn't know. I swear I didn't know. If you knew, you still would have done it, Amanda cut in. Because you only cared about winning. Felix flinched. Amanda continued. I'm not here to destroy your money fast. That would be easy. I'm here to destroy your comfort. Felix swallowed hard. What do you mean? Amanda looked at him like a judge. I want you to live with it, she said. Day by day, I want you to wake up and remember what you did. I want the guilt to follow you like shadow. Felix's mouth opened, but he couldn't speak. Amanda turned and walked inside. Felix stood on that balcony alone, Lagos lights shining on him, and for the first time in his life, he didn't feel rich. He felt ruined. After that night, Amanda stopped talking to Felix. Not the dramatic kind. Not shouting. Not fighting. Just silence. She walked past him like he was furniture. She ate breakfast alone. She left the room when he entered. If he said good morning, she didn't answer. Felix tried to talk. Amanda. No reply. He followed her one morning. Amanda, please, we need to... She kept walking. Felix stood there watching her leave, and something inside him broke. Because Felix was used to being feared. He was used to being chased. He was used to being wanted. But now, inside his own mansion, he was invisible. The staff noticed too. They moved quietly. They avoided eye contact. They could smell the tension like smoke. Felix couldn't sleep again. He would lie in bed, staring at the ceiling, replaying Amanda's words. I was pregnant. For you. His chest would tighten. He started drinking more water, like water could wash guilt. It couldn't. Work became worse. Felix entered meetings and people looked at him differently. Important appointments moved without his approval. A project he was sure would succeed suddenly crashed. A partner he trusted suddenly backed out. Felix felt like invisible hands were pulling his world apart. One evening, he came home furious. Amanda was on the couch, reading like nothing existed. Felix stood in front of her. You're doing something. Amanda turned a page. Am I? Felix's voice shook with anger. At work, things are failing. Amanda looked up slowly. Her face was calm. Is it painful? She asked. Felix blinked. Amanda continued. Small, like the way we suffered. One loss today, another loss tomorrow. Until you start feeling tired. Felix's throat tightened. Amanda's eyes were cold. Don't worry. I won't ruin you completely. That would be too easy. I want you to live. Felix felt sick. Amanda went back to her book. Felix stood there shaking, because he finally understood something. Amanda didn't hate him like an enemy. She hated him like a memory that refused to die. One night, Felix sat alone in his office and cried quietly, not loud sobbing, just tears falling as he stared at old files. Names, companies, lives. He had destroyed them and called it growth. He remembered boardroom laughter after takeover deals. He remembered how he used to say, if they can't compete, they should leave the market. Now he heard Amanda's voice in his head. Men like you hurt people without knowing their names. Felix held his head in his hands. I'm sorry, he whispered to the empty room. But sorry didn't bring back her father. Sorry didn't bring back the baby. Sorry didn't erase the pain. Felix realized something hard. He couldn't talk his way out. He couldn't pay his way out. He had to face it. And that scared him more than any business enemy. Because business enemies didn't live in your house. This one did. And she was fat, plus size, calm, and stronger than his money. Felix started changing quietly. Not for Instagram. Not for applause. Because guilt was now choking him. He asked his assistant for old case files. He began making a list of families and businesses that he had destroyed. His assistant looked confused. Sir, for what? Felix's voice was low. I want to fix what I can fix. The assistant hesitated. But sir, those cases are old. Felix looked at him. Pain doesn't get old. His first visit was in Surulere. A small compound, no fancy gate, no guard, just iron door and tired paint. Felix knocked. A man opened and stared at him like he had seen a ghost. Yes? The man asked. Felix swallowed. I'm Felix Adebayo. The man's face hardened immediately. So? Felix breathed out. I'm here to apologize. The man laughed, bitter and loud. Apologize? After you destroyed my father's shop, you think sorry will feed us? Felix nodded slowly. No, it won't. But I want to try. The man scoffed. Try what? Felix's voice shook slightly. To help rebuild. I know I can't undo it, but I can carry responsibility. The man stared at him for a long moment. Then he said, Go away. Felix didn't argue. He nodded and left. But he didn't stop. He knocked on more doors. Some people insulted him. Some people slammed doors. Some people cried. Felix accepted it. Because for once, he knew he deserved every reaction. Amanda watched Felix change without trusting it. She noticed his tired eyes, his quieter voice, his reduced pride. She watched him leave the house early and return late, not from clubs or parties, but from places that smelled like struggle. One afternoon, she found a bouquet of hibiscus and roses on the kitchen table. No note. No, I'm sorry, just flowers. Amanda stared at them for a long time. Then she picked one flower and smelled it. She didn't smile. But she also didn't throw it away. The next morning, she came downstairs and saw a cup of coffee waiting. Strong, no sugar. Exactly how she liked it. Felix was not in the kitchen. He had left the coffee and disappeared like he didn't want credit. Amanda sat down slowly and stared at the cup. Her chest tightened. Because these were the small details that showed effort. But effort didn't erase the past. She carried that truth like stone. Still, something in her shifted. Not forgiveness, not love. Just the first small sign that maybe change could be real. One evening, Felix was dressed for an important meeting. Suit, watch, phone in hand. Amanda walked into the room suddenly. Felix paused. Yes. Amanda's voice was quiet. Cancel your meeting. Felix blinked. What? Amanda repeated. Cancel it. Felix hesitated. Then he took his phone, called and cancelled the meeting. No argument, no pride. Amanda watched him like she was testing if he would still choose himself first. When he ended the call, he looked at her. Okay, I cancelled. What's wrong? Amanda didn't sit immediately. She paced slightly, then stopped. I'm not ready to forgive you. she said. Felix nodded. I know. Amanda's eyes softened a little. But I can see you're trying. Felix's throat tightened. I am. Amanda sat on the couch slowly. Felix sat opposite her, leaving space. They sat in silence. But for the first time, the silence wasn't cruel. It was careful. Amanda spoke again. If you ever rush me, you will lose everything. Felix nodded quickly. I won't rush you. Amanda stared at him. This pain is deep, Felix. Felix's voice broke. I know. I'm living inside it now. Amanda exhaled slowly. That night they spoke small. Not love talk, just simple talk. About Lagos. About food. About life. And even though Amanda didn't laugh loudly, Felix saw something he hadn't seen in her for a long time. A tiny softness. The 6 months ended quietly. No countdown party. No celebration. Just a date on the calendar. Felix woke up that morning with fear in his chest. Because the agreement was done. Amanda could leave. She had every reason to leave. She had planned to leave. Felix met her in the living room that evening. Amanda stood by the window, arms folded. Felix cleared his throat. Today makes 6 months. Amanda nodded. Yes. Felix swallowed. So, what now? Amanda looked at him. What do you want? Felix's voice was low. I don't want this to end. Amanda's eyes narrowed slightly. Why? Felix took a deep breath. Because I love you. Amanda's face didn't soften quickly. She didn't jump into romance. She simply stared at him like she was checking if he was lying. Felix continued. Not because of the bet, not because of money. I love you because you broke me in a way that saved me. Amanda's throat tightened. She looked away. Felix stepped forward slightly, then stopped. He respected her space. I know I don't deserve another chance, he said. But if there's any small space in your heart, I want to earn it slowly. Amanda's eyes became wet again. She whispered, You don't just ruin someone's life and then come back with love. Felix nodded. I know. Amanda turned to him. And I'm not a miracle worker. I can't forget. Felix's voice shook. Don't forget. Just let me be better. Amanda stared at him for a long time. Then she said, We can try. Felix's breath left him like he had been drowning. But Amanda raised a finger. Try, Felix. Not pretend. Felix nodded quickly. Try. Their love didn't start like fireworks. It started like morning tea, like calm talks, like small care. Felix stopped forcing luxury. He started asking, What do you want? And he listened. Amanda started allowing him into her world slowly. She spoke about her father more, about how he used to sit with her and plan the future, about how she loved him. Felix listened with pain in his eyes. Sometimes he cried quietly. Sometimes Amanda cried too. Then they would sit in silence again, not as enemies, as two people holding something broken. Felix continued his restitution. He created a small support program for struggling businesses, not as PR. As a responsibility. Amanda watched. She didn't clap, but she respected the effort. One night, Amanda touched Felix's hand by mistake while passing him something. They both froze. Amanda didn't pull away quickly. Felix didn't grip too hard. They just held hands for a moment. And in that small moment, Amanda realized something painful. She wasn't just healing. She was also falling. Months later, Amanda began to feel strange. Morning sickness, dizziness. A tiredness that sleep didn't fix. She tried to ignore it. But deep down, she knew. She went to the hospital quietly. Did a test. When the doctor confirmed it, Amanda sat still for a long time. Her hands trembled, not only from joy, from fear. Because she had lost a baby before. And that pain still lived inside her like fire. She returned home and found Felix in the living room. He looked up immediately. You're back early. Amanda sat down slowly. Felix moved closer. Amanda? What's wrong? Amanda's voice shook. I'm pregnant. Felix froze. Then his eyes filled with tears. He covered his mouth like he couldn't breathe. Amanda, he whispered. Amanda's own tears fell. I'm scared. Felix sat beside her, careful, gentle. Me too. Amanda sniffed. Don't promise me nonsense, Felix. Felix shook his head. I won't. I will just be here, every day. Amanda cried harder. Felix held her carefully like she was glass. Days later, Felix did something Amanda didn't expect. He proposed again. Not like a proud billionaire. Like a man who was begging for a fresh start. Amanda, he said softly, I want to marry you again. Properly. Not because of a bet. Not because anybody dared me. Because I love you. And because I want to spend my life earning your trust. Amanda stared at him. Her heart was full. But her pain was still real. She nodded slowly. Okay. This second wedding was simple. Small hall, close friends, soft music, no show-off. Amanda wore a beautiful dress that fit her plus-size body like it was made for her joy. She didn't hide her arms, she didn't hide her stomach, she didn't hide her fullness. She stood proudly. Felix stood beside her with tears. When they danced that night, Amanda rested her head on his chest and whispered, Who would have thought it all started with a bet? Felix held her close and whispered back, It was the worst thing I ever did, and the biggest lesson of my life. Amanda closed her eyes. She didn't forget the past. But for the first time, the future didn't look like punishment. It looked like hope. The baby kicked for the first time on a Tuesday. Not the dramatic kind you see in movies, no screaming, no fainting, no panicking. Just one small movement beneath Amanda's palm. But the way her eyes widened, the way her breath caught, Felix knew something important had happened. They were in the kitchen. The power had gone out again, and the generator had just come on, filling the house with that steady humming sound. The cook had stepped out for a moment. The mansion felt quiet and unusually calm. Amanda stood by the counter, slicing fruit slowly. She was still plus-size, soft, heavy, beautiful in a real way. Pregnancy hadn't changed that. If anything, it made her look even more present, even more grounded. Like her body was no longer something people had the right to judge, but something sacred, something carrying life. Felix walked in, loosened his tie, and paused when he saw her face. Amanda, he said carefully, are you okay? She didn't answer immediately. She just placed her hand on her belly and stared down like she was trying to understand what she had just felt. Then she looked up at him, eyes shining. The baby moved, she whispered. Felix froze, like his mind had stopped working. What? He asked, even though he had heard her. Amanda nodded slowly. It kicked. Felix's eyes filled with tears instantly. He didn't even try to hide them. He stepped closer, then stopped, like he didn't want to invade her space. Can I? He started. Amanda didn't speak. She simply took his wrist and placed his palm gently on her belly. Felix held his breath. At first, nothing. He stood there tense, as if he was afraid the moment would vanish if he breathed too hard. Then it happened again. A small push, like a tiny hand pressing back from the inside. Felix gasped, not loudly, just the kind of sound a man makes when something finally reaches the part of him he keeps locked away. And then right there on the kitchen floor, Felix dropped to his knees. Not to be dramatic, not to make it a performance. His legs simply couldn't hold him anymore. Amanda blinked in shock. Felix. Felix looked up at her, tears streaming down his face. I'm sorry, he whispered. I know you're tired of hearing it, but I'm sorry. Amanda's throat tightened. Felix rested his forehead gently against her belly, like he was asking the baby inside to forgive him too. I don't deserve this, he said, voice cracking. I don't deserve you. I don't deserve a second chance, but I swear I will not waste it. I swear I will be better. Amanda's eyes filled. She didn't want to cry. Crying made her feel vulnerable, and vulnerability used to feel dangerous. But this was her husband on the floor, not a proud billionaire anymore, not a man trying to win, just a man finally facing the truth about himself. She lowered her hand and stroked his head slowly. "Stand up," she said quietly. Felix shook his head. "Not yet." "Amanda," she repeated more firmly this time. "Stand up." Felix looked at her. Amanda's voice was calm but strong. "If you stay down like this, you'll start believing your guilt is enough. And guilt is not enough." Felix swallowed. Amanda held his gaze. "Be present. That's what I need. Not a man who keeps collapsing. A man who stays." Felix nodded quickly, wiped his face, and stood up. He didn't argue. He had learned something. When Amanda spoke like that, she meant every word. 2 weeks later, Femi called. Felix was in his office in Ikoyi when the call came in. He stared at the name on his phone like the past was ringing him directly. He almost ignored it. But he answered. "Felix," Femi said brightly. "How are you?" Felix kept his voice neutral. "I'm fine." Femi laughed. "So I'm hearing you did a second wedding, and now you're acting like a completely different person." Felix didn't respond. Femi continued, careless and loud. "Listen, I'm planning a big party this weekend. The guys will be there. Some girls too. You should come out and relax." "I'm not interested," Felix said. Femi went quiet for a moment, then chuckled. "Don't tell me Amanda controls you now." Felix's jaw tightened. "No one controls me." "Then come," Femi insisted. "At least show up. People are asking after you. They say you've disappeared. They say you've become domesticated." Felix closed his eyes slowly. Then Femi pushed further, not realizing he was destroying himself. "Honestly, Felix," he said, half laughing, "this new soft life won't last. You're Felix Adebayo. The Felix we know doesn't bend for anyone. That woman has trapped you, and now you're behaving like a saint." There was silence. Pure silence. Femi didn't realize how wrong he had gone until Felix spoke. "Do not speak about my wife like that," Felix said, his voice low and controlled. Femi laughed nervously. "Relax, I didn't mean it like that." "You meant it," Felix replied. Femi sighed. "Felix, you're overreacting. It was just a joke." Felix stood up slowly. "A joke is what started all of this. A joke is what turned a human being into entertainment." Femi scoffed. "So what now? You're suddenly righteous." Felix's voice rose slightly. "I'm not righteous. I'm just tired of being cruel." Femi's tone sharpened. "So you're ending a friendship because of a woman?" Felix paused. Then he said something that surprised even him. "I'm ending the worst part of my life," he said. "If you're part of that, then you go with it." Femi went quiet. Felix continued calmly. "You wanted a bet. You wanted laughter. You wanted to prove I could play with people's lives. You succeeded, but you will not be part of who I'm becoming." Femi sounded angry now. "So you're choosing her over me?" Felix's voice was steady. "I'm choosing decency over madness." Then Felix ended the call. He sat down again, hands shaking. Not because he was afraid of losing Femi, but because he finally understood how easy it used to be for him to be wicked, and how hard it was now to walk away from it. When Felix got home that evening, Amanda was in the living room, barefoot, wearing a loose dress. She looked tired. Pregnancy was not gentle work. Felix sat beside her quietly. Amanda turned her head. "You're quiet." Felix nodded. "I spoke to Femi today." Amanda's body stiffened slightly. "What did he say?" Felix exhaled. "The same kind of things he always says." Amanda watched him carefully. "And you?" Felix hesitated. "I cut him off." Amanda blinked. "You did what?" "I cut him off," Felix repeated. Amanda didn't speak at first. She stared at him like she was checking if it was real. Felix leaned forward. "I know you didn't ask me to, but I realized if I keep people like that close, I will always have one foot in my old life." Amanda's eyes softened. She nodded slowly. "Felix, that's the first time you've protected me without trying to control me." Felix looked down. Amanda reached for his hand. "Thank you." Felix swallowed hard. I'm still learning. Amanda nodded. Keep learning. That night, Amanda couldn't sleep. Felix woke up and found her on the balcony, staring at the lagoon again, the same place where she had once shattered his comfort with the truth. He walked out quietly and sat beside her without speaking. After a while, Amanda whispered, "Sometimes I still remember everything." Felix nodded. "I know." "Sometimes I still feel angry," she added. "I know," he said again. Amanda turned to him, eyes glossy. "And sometimes I feel love, and that scares me." Felix held her gaze gently. "It scares me too." Amanda breathed out slowly. "I used to think my body was a punishment, like I was not the kind of woman a man could truly love." Felix shook his head immediately. "Amanda!" She lifted her hand. "Let me finish." Felix went quiet. Amanda continued. "I used to think I had to earn love by shrinking myself, by apologizing for my size, by acting like I should be grateful that anyone chose me." Her voice trembled. "But do you know what's strange?" she said softly. "The first man who truly broke his pride for me is the same man who once saw me as a joke." Felix's face tightened with pain. Amanda reached for his hand and held it firmly. "Life is strange," she whispered, "but I'm still here." Felix's voice was barely audible. "I'm here too." Amanda placed his palm on her belly again. The baby moved. Felix smiled through tears. Amanda smiled too, small but real. And in that quiet moment, Felix Adebayo finally understood something he had never understood in all his wealth and pride. You can build a mansion with money, but you can only build a home with humility. Amanda leaned slightly toward him. Felix kissed her forehead gently. The city lights blinked below them. A soft breeze moved across the lagoon. And for the first time, the night didn't feel like punishment. It felt like peace. Now tell me in the comments, would you have forgiven Felix, or would you have taken revenge all the way? And if this story touched your heart, please like, subscribe, and share it with someone who loves deep emotional stories.